Approval of agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
It has been moved. Is there a second?
I second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed say no.
No, you know what? I don't remember being asked to join the meeting.
I wasn't.
Are we good?
That's what I said.
I did. I think you might have, you got in too early probably, so you're gonna have to log back out and log back in so you can join the meeting. You get in too early before she sets up the meeting.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, has anybody's got one popping up or not?
Just joined. You good?
Oh, that hasn't popped up, but
It hasn't popped up?
nope.
I just refreshed my screen.
You're not getting it.
I got join the meeting, but
Yeah, we got join the meeting, but we don't have yes and no.
Oh, I got you. You've joined the meeting now, so
We're missing the yes no on the screen, but it's seven.
mine for the next one.
It's 7-0.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, the mission of USD 49 is to provide a quality learning experience for every student in every classroom every day. Next on is consent agenda.
Yeah, you'll have the meeting minutes from previous meeting, site council minutes, personnel transactions, no retirements to announce this evening. Financials, Chris.
Couple quick updates. We had talked a little bit last time, working through the insurance claim on our vehicle for hail damage from May. There were 4 vehicles that were totaled. A couple of them were pretty low value. I don't know what we'll do with those. A couple of them were mid-range that are actually ECC vehicles. We are in the process right now of having conversations with Enterprise on their fleet management system in the city and the county. We looked at it a few years ago. It didn't seem right, but talking with them right now, we're having them evaluate our fleet. So we have a follow-up meeting with them end of the week, and I think we'll probably make decisions on these vehicles. The 4 that were total, whether we keep them or if we end up going with Enterprise, using them as straight-in vehicles. So quick update there. At one trailer was total too, but we'll have to keep that. It's one of the athletic teams use full on bus protecting football pads.
On the skin.
And could those cars, Chris, be used for driver's ed cars?
They can. So with the driver's ed, we typically get donations, donated vehicles to use during driver's ed from the different dealerships in town, and then we fill in with our fleet cars too, because we don't have enough to do it ourselves. But yes, any one of those cars at any given time might be in the rotation for driver's ed. The remainder of the vehicles will get fixed up, but keep you posted on where it goes with the Enterprise conversations also. The on project tracking, so it is finishing out the quarter, working on the revenue projections and the arbitrage projections. I was hoping to have the finalized arbitrage report today. We get that annually. We ask for updates quarterly to 4 or 5 months apart, but annually we get the full report of our anticipated arbitrage. I didn't get the full report, but I got a thumbnail, like we think it's going to be somewhere around here. So we updated the bond tracking to show you where we sit right now, and I'm hoping by the end of October we'll have the actual updated number. If anything, I would have guessed that they're being pretty conservative in their estimate because we kind of put them on the spot today and we'll get this done by now. So I think they're probably fairly conservative in their estimate right now, so hopefully it's even better than what it shows. But interest continues to come in, and even accounting for the arbitrage, our total project number going up a little bit. So.
Okay, and then a couple weeks ago, Mr. Kennedy brought up idle funds We didn't go into detail on that. I've had a couple of questions about that. You want to explain that to the public?
Sure. So one of the reports that you get every month shows our idle funds, the investments. So we have a few different, we have really a twofold strategy. We have nightly sweeps that go on with any of the cash in bank that we use. And then we also have CD and money market. We're very restricted. I mean, as a public entity, we're very restricted on what we can invest in. You can't do high risk. You can't do risk investments. You have to be guaranteed. So we can do CDs or treasuries. Right now, treasuries are better than CDs, and so with our idle funds, we also have call it a CD ladder, but we're in treasuries right now. So every 3 months, we have a leg of that ladder coming due, and so then we look at rates on out, this side out, far out, and push the ladder. So.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris, I noticed the storage box rental that we have. Where's that located and what's that for?
I would have to do some looking. I don't know.
It's probably Roosevelt, because we've had this store.
So it's part of the bond or is part of the storage of the?
Well, it's Roosevelt as we put classrooms and we've had to come back. We've had to get some storage containers.
Is it still there or?
No, well, yeah, we have not moved yet, so yeah, it's sitting there with stuff in it. So.
That's where it's at. Okay, thank you.
Good? We good?
Yep.
All right. I would entertain a motion for consent agenda.
I motion to approve it as presented.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor say yes.
Yes. Yes.
All those opposed, no.
There you go, Renee.
Where'd it go? I didn't get it. I'm a yes, but you know. We good? Did yours pop up?
No, I must have done it.
All right. Next on the agenda is public forum. Is there anybody that wants to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to presentations. For 4.1, Women Who Lead.
Yeah, I think Mary Ann Shorman is here to present the quick check.
So I'm Mary Ann Shortman, and this is Kathy Van Dorn, and we represent Women's League.
Mary Ann, do you want to go to the podium so the public can hear you?
There you go.
I'm Mary Ann Shortman, and Kathy Van Dorn. We represent Women Who Lead, and I think we are, with about 160 members?
Yes, ma'am, 160 strong.
Strong, that's right. So one of the projects that we kind of identified to work on this past year has been food insecurities. And our membership is really good about, we'll identify a meeting that they bring canned goods and items from food pantries. I know USD 49 pantries have benefited from that, and Newport Hayes has benefited from that. A year ago, Kathy and I attended a meeting that Heartland Community, that Sarah Meitner had put on, and brought all these groups of people together. And at that meeting, we learned that, and Shannon, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Kansas Food Banks provides food for K through 8 for weekend food backpacks to go home with kids that maybe need some extra help during the weekends. And it was identified at that meeting that the Early Childhood Connections did not have those backpacks. And so in talking with Ariel Simpson and Donna and Carla Fixer, yeah, Kathy and I met with them several times, kind of put together numbers and such, took it back to our membership, and we did both then fund those food packs for the end of this last semester of last school year and then this whole school year. So we have given half of that money already. We have the other half tonight to present. So we'd like to do that. If Ariel wants to come up, we can give that to her.
Thank you, ladies. And those of you that don't know, Women Who Lead also put in the Ant Flow dispensers at Hayes High School and paid for that project and paid for it again this year for the supplies for the student council. So thank you for all you do for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Okay, just once again, give you a little bit of a bond update. At Roosevelt, things are quickly coming together. You've looked at some of the photos that were included in your board packet. You'll see the gym floor is installed. It's really looking great inside the gym. We've added some lockers, which is a really nice touch. The learning park, which is the library, it's just really coming together. Ceilings in. Even the grass, a little rain over the weekend has made the grass
It's
look
growing.
pretty good. So it's looking nice and coming together really good. We've also had the opportunity during our professional development day to bring the Lincoln teaching staff to walk through the building along with the Roosevelt staff. So that was a good day to share in the celebration of the new spaces. So at Hayes High, was out there today. Doing some walking. The exciting thing is you start to look is a lot of that exterior framing is, so the outside of the building is really being framed up and really, we're definitely not sealed in yet, but it's so exciting. Bricks being, some areas is really going up. One of the things is, I don't believe there's a picture of it, but the auditorium, the mezzanine, which is the balcony, has been laid, and so you can start to envision how that's all going to come together. It's really exciting. So things are going really well in the bond. Super excited for getting able to share that with individuals as we've taken a lot of people through just to celebrate with them. Also for the board, you have in your packet a request from HNEA to open negotiations starting October 21st. This is something that was decided during last year's negotiations that we would reopen early, just to talk about some of those health plan options and looking at things. Sometimes when you wait till negotiations, we're already very close to renewals and we don't have time to do that. So have a request. I think we already have our negotiating team in place, so if there's not any issues, we will let them know.
October 21st is our work session on a Monday,
But I think the session is prior.
so we're going to do the same. We're going to do both.
I think it starts at 3:45.
I think you're. Yeah.
3:45 will be done. Could be done by.
They're asking 3:45 to 4:45.
Yeah.
We're good with both on the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
That works. I will let them know that we will proceed with that. Also wanted to share. I thought this was neat. Heard about this and I wanted to share with the board. It's a project. The Hayes High culinary class was approached and participated in a Kids Feeding Kids program. This is something that is a program that several schools in Kansas are doing and across the nation. Though it's not as many as you'd expect, but basically it's a project for kids to work with a professional chef in the culinary class. As they come, they'll come to Hayes to help the class prepare and plan a menu, create a production schedule inside their kitchen labs, and also finding families that they can distribute these meals to, and then, of course, producing that meal. The project really could take up to a week as they will work on preparing the meal and then pre-packaging that food so it can be distributed. And I thank credit to Nicole Lemberger and also thank you for reaching out and getting this started. So it's kind of a fun project, so great opportunity for our kids. And that's all I have.
We have any questions for Mr. Wilson?
Mr. Wilson, we got a letter from the negotiation team. Can you provide that to the entire board?
You have it in your package.
Yeah, it's on there.
It's right there.
It's if you click on it. That's what I had just read it.
Is that
PDF. It's a PDF.
Okay.
We're good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's there. Everybody's got it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Action and discussion items. The first one is 6.1. the approval of the Olofin GMP guaranteed maximum price. This was tabled at our last board meeting, and proper parliamentary procedure would, first we'd need to make a motion, a second to pull it off the table and into the meeting, and then discussion may occur. So I would entertain a motion to pull this from the table.
I make a motion to pull the Olofin GMP from the table.
Okay?
Second.
There's been properly moved and seconded to bring the approval of the Olofin GMP from the table for action. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no.
This is the wrong thing, because you're just untabling it. Don't vote on this.
Oh. I already voted. It passed 7-0, Renee. It just needs to make sure we got it in our minutes.
Yeah, because they're probably going to vote on it, so we need to leave that motion.
Okay? As long as it's in the minutes that we brought it from the table. Okay? All righty.
Okay, so I have Mike Fahey from DLR and Brett Collins from Naples who are here to kind of provide some of the information that was requested, and also if you have any questions.
While they're getting that set up, I just want to say thank you guys for having us again. I think this is it's either my third or fourth time speaking to the board, so you've always been very welcoming. So thanks for the opportunity to speak again. So again, my name is Mike Fahey. I have been the lead project architect from DLR Group for the 3 grade schools, or elementary schools, and middle school here. I am not the lead architect on the high school, but I know a little bit about it. So thank you again for having us. So my understanding is that last month we brought the GMP to this board, and you guys chose to table it, and one of the reasons for that was because you just wanted to hear a little bit more about what's still to come in the last two projects and what those are going to cost. So I just have a couple of quick slides here to kind of talk through that and see if I can kind of help bring everybody up to speed on that. So next slide, please. All right. So this one is Felton Elementary School. So this is the existing Hayes Middle School building, which will be renamed Felton. And the project scope is anything that you can see in color here. So we have 3 different levels of renovation, we call them. That's the document that we put together and hand over to our construction partners and help figure out how much the project is actually going to cost. We generally break that down into 3 different levels of renovation: light, medium, and heavy. And really the main difference is light renovation is cosmetic only. It's finishes, it's new floors, it's paint, it's sometimes ceiling tiles, maybe like a whiteboard here or there. It's just kind of the easy stuff, really. When you get into medium renovation, to me that means that you're starting to reconfigure some spaces, you're building new walls, you're taking down existing walls. You're not doing any wholesale changes, nothing structural, nothing plumbing. Relatively affordable, but does just get a little bit more. It turns into a construction site instead of just a kind of an easy painting project site. And then heavy renovation, in the areas in orange, I think of that as when you add in either plumbing or structural changes or both. So that's when it becomes a major project. So at Felton Elementary, as you can see, the project scope is kind of limited to one portion of the building. The two major drivers of the project scope are, it's all about space, really, and amenities for the younger kids. So right now, the existing building has a lot going for it. It's much larger than the existing elementary schools, which we vacated. It has, it's a really great building. It's in great shape. It has an amazing gymnasium that's going to be world-class for an elementary school once they move in. Cafeteria is much bigger, the kitchen's much bigger than what they're moving out of. So there's a lot of, the media center's much bigger, so there's a lot of space to be had in this building, which is going to be great for those teachers, principals, students. The one thing that it doesn't have is a kindergarten suite. They don't have any classrooms with ensuite bathrooms. They don't have any classrooms that are big enough for modern-day kindergarten. And so that's the primary focus of this project, is to provide space that's adequate and for a thriving kindergarten program. So the area to the left here, where you see a kind of cluster of classrooms with the orange bar that kind of runs vertically, that's going to be the kindergarten suite. And so there will be a special education kindergarten room on the north end of that. Then the three rooms kind of in the middle are going to be three of your primary kindergarten classrooms. And then down on the south end, I believe that's going to be the fourth kindergarten classroom. So the areas in orange are orange because we're adding 4 new bathrooms along that area. So each of those classrooms will get its own bathroom. And then the smaller area in orange to the right of that is then a 5th new bathroom for that classroom as well. The 2 areas in yellow will be kind of de-escalation rooms. If a kid is having a dysregulated moment and needs a little one-on-one attention with the teacher, they can take them away from the classroom right there. So it's directly adjacent to their space.
Those classrooms are in the original building, not the FEMA building that was.
That's right. If I can step away from the microphone, I'm going to.
That's the new added.
Yeah, it's the FEMA shelter.
The FEMA shelter is this.
Right.
That's the FEMA. So right now I'm talking about these classrooms. That's where FEMA starts here and goes over.
Okay.
And when was that FEMA built?
I don't have that date.
It was like in the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's the newest part of the building for sure.
It's been within,
Yeah, it was longer than 10 years ago.
yeah, I would say it's probably close to that.
So yeah, so the kindergarten area is the kind of the cluster of spaces to the left, and then moving to the right, it was also requested that the first grade classrooms receive their own ensuite plumbing because it can just be difficult with first graders to get them out to the public restrooms. And so the little cluster of orange in the middle, that's 4 new small restrooms, 1 for each of those 4 classrooms to let the first graders have those ensuite. And then as the orange goes up to the north from there and touches the existing bathroom, that's just showing that we have to get the plumbing to there. So we'll have to trench out the concrete slab to get the waistline. And then we will be replacing the fixtures in that bathroom with child height fixtures, because right now those are adult height fixtures. So that group bathroom will mostly be used by the second graders. The first graders will have their own ensuite bathrooms. The kindergartners will have their own ensuite bathrooms.
So white classrooms are with the second grade? So
Yes, yeah, the white classrooms that are in the storm shelter portion of the building will be second grade, yes. So that is the project scope. The current budget to obtain all those or achieve all those is $3.8 million.
To change out the bathrooms and
Yeah, everything highlighted there is a total cost of $3.8 million.
Mr. Wilson, in all of the other buildings, do we have bathrooms in our first grade?
Yes. Yeah, in all the other buildings.
100%?
Yeah.
for kindergarten, but
Kindergarten and first grade.
first grade as well?
Yes.
And Mr. Wilson, do we plan on keeping all the lockers at Felton that they are now?
Yes. I mean, I think the plan is we will have lockers in all the other 2 elementaries, and this is kind of a request. It's kind of, I think this is funny. High school doesn't want lockers anymore. Elementaries want lockers.
Right, and so I just wondered if there was an abundance at Felton that could be used at Olofin that we could take out? Is that an option, or would we be utilizing all those lockers that are in that space?
Well, I think it's just the size of the lockers is, I think what we're getting at Olofin or well, what they already have. They already have lockers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Olofin does have quite a few existing lockers, and then we have, I believe it's is 3 new classrooms that are going to go into the north addition, and those classrooms will get new lockers as part of them. But there are plenty of lockers throughout the existing building to serve the existing spaces.
You're not replacing those existing lockers?
No, we have in the bond scope for Olofin does include painting them because they just need a fresh coat of paint. There are some lockers that are in a little bit of disrepair hardware-wise, and that's going to be a district maintenance item.
Okay, so removing the combination lock and the Felton lockers would be gone? Because there are combos at Felton still, are they not?
Yeah.
Okay, so, because we don't want an elementary kid trying to remember.
Well, we
how many-
have combo locks at the new Roseville.
Oh, you do? Oh.
They're going to learn early. It's
Oh,
going
my
to make Tom
goodness.
Albert's life and
I
all the
didn't-
middle school teachers happy because they will know how to do combos.
I did not know
before they
that.
step foot in.
Interesting. Future bankers,
Yes.
bankers coming.
They get their little locks in there. They practice all the way to town.
That's going to be a middle school teacher's dream right there, 6th grade teacher.
Okay, very
They're
cool.
not going to be having to figure out lockers and combos.
So all the other adult bathrooms are not going to be changed out?
Not as of right now, no. One thing that this building has going for it is that the toilets are floor mounted throughout, I believe, all of this building, if not most of it. And so they're a little easier to change out to get the appropriate size, because when it's a wall mounted toilet, the plumbing comes out the back, and then you have to, you'd have to redo all of the wall plumbing to lower it. But a floor mounted one, you can usually tap into the existing.
So changing out the science rooms and things like that, is there equipment that needs to be removed and that's done?
So the existing, the kindergarten classrooms in the middle are going into the existing science room, so that's a good catch there. And we will be capping the plumbing for those spaces, but there's nothing major that needs to be done to relocate it or anything like that.
So you mentioned that it's 3.8 million for the entire space. How much is the actual bathrooms going to cost? So like putting the 4 bathrooms in the first grade and then putting the bathrooms in the kindergarten, how much per square foot is that going to cost? Do we have a contingency plan just in case and a contingency amount?
I will, that's more of a construction question, so I can turn it over to you guys.
I don't think we have it broken down that way currently.
Okay.
Figure that out. I don't know.
My main concern is, do we have a contingency plan for if we open up the floors and all of a sudden the plumbing is crumbling or the plumbing is a problem? Do we have like a plan in place for time-wise and for monetary reasons?
So usually we'll do a site investigation prior to actually getting to CEs or design documents. We'll look at that and we can evaluate before we get into a contract situation. We're not going into a contract with this one at this point.
Okay.
When will that occur?
As I said,
Probably next summer.
sometime like next summer on that.
I guess, do you guys do that at Roosevelt School as far as checking the plumbing and stuff first?
We did, and Roosevelt's kind of a good case study because there were some of the existing plumbing fixtures at Roosevelt where everything looked fine until you took it off the ground and fully disassembled it, and then we found that there's kind of a steel collar underneath the toilet that connects it to the pipes below. We found that those were rusted. They were still functional as they were, but once we took the toilet off, we weren't going to put a new toilet back on top of them. And so we did go in and replace them at that time as needed. And so things happen in construction, you just have to be able to run it.
My wife stopped there and said the sewer's backing up, earlier this year at some point, and I heard that the cast main was actually bad as well. But you're saying it's just a riser, just nothing to do with the sewer main for the building?
Not aware of this.
Yeah, we're not,
That.
we don't have a sewer main or any of that.
Well, no, I understand. I'm talking about Roosevelt. So my understanding was that Roosevelt was turning into a little bit more of a problem than what you guys expected. And I thought it was more than the risers going to the toilets, that it was the actual cast main going into the building that was backing up. Is that not true?
Not to my knowledge. I'm not saying it's untrue, but I wasn't brought in.
I know we've had some blockage issues that they've had to clean out, and that's typical in schools where we have to do some clean outs.
But the main to the building's fine. Is that my understanding?
I've heard.
Okay.
So currently at Felton Middle School, has there been any indicators of, and this might be a wrong question, any indicators of issues with the plumbing, such as like backing up or issues with smell or anything like that?
I mean, I'm not going to say we haven't had issues at Hayesville, because
Right.
every school has plumbing issues. When you put 800, 900 people in a building every day, you can have issues, but I don't remember any.
Yeah, like flushing paper towels.
And isn't most of this brand new?
Flushing
I mean, the
things that say
bathrooms
they're
are being
flushable
added, they're not
package.
existing right here.
No, you
that
know.
you're doing.
Right, my questions are tying into the existing plumbing and if they're gonna find issues with
The
that.
thing is, I would tell you, is you have old buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, we cannot forget that we have older buildings, and anytime in older buildings, you're going to have situations that will need to be addressed. But that's part of our upkeep on our maintenance program to address those, and that's why you have those funds.
Right, and I agree totally. I just wanna make sure that the 3.8 million is enough, just in case they open it up and it's like, oh, this is worse than we anticipated.
There is construction contingency built into that 3.8 million, so
Okay.
it's not a every single dollar's
Right.
spoken for situation.
Okay.
Do you have a percentage, like 5% contingency or?
This might go into the newest spot.
Okay.
I think on that end, as we get closer to the final.
And I guess, I was lucky enough to walk around the school with Mr. Albers this last week. I think structurally the school looked good from what I could tell, the water heaters and stuff. But cosmetically, I mean, it doesn't look like it's in very good shape. I mean, was there any consideration to, a lot of the flooring in the hallways doesn't really match up. The classrooms aren't the greatest. Some of the bathrooms, there's towels blown away from the urinals, kind of that lime green old stuff. I mean, was there any consideration to updating this one for these students?
Sure. Yeah, we've looked at doing updates throughout the entire building, and frankly, it's a cost decision. Some of those types of projects are relatively easy for the district to manage as a maintenance item, and kind of we'll paint this hallway this year, we'll replace the floors next year. Those types of things are relatively easy for a district to manage, and frankly, they're also more affordable for you guys to do on your end than to pay markups for that type of work. And so we looked at it, and it was determined that the bond dollars were better spent going towards projects that are actually about the functionality of the schools, like adding these bathrooms and things.
Well,
because it's just
I got you.
better than-
Okay, I guess some of the windows, look to be all single pane, glass, and probably not the most energy efficient. It seemed like there was quite a bit of work that could be done to the school under the scope of the bond. And I guess to your point then, for the Olofin, a lot of that is renovation is $5.5 million, which I think a lot of that is the same sort of deal with the flooring, the paint. Like, why is it good to put money there, but not, for the current middle school?
Olofin, I would say, of all of the spaces, Olofin was the school that was in the most need functionally, and
We're talking paint and, I mean, just
Sure.
yeah.
but it was in order to bring Olofin up to snuff functionally and square footage wise, it needed a lot of work. It needed the additions, it needed all the site work, and it needed significant reconfiguration of the existing building. And so it got to the point where we were already, the amount of money we could have saved by not doing finishes for the entire building was very small compared to the overall budget.
What's the number?
I don't have the breakdown of that off the top of my head, but I don't know if they do or not. But that project, just the building, there's a lot of walls moving around in the existing building. In this case, there's almost none. And I would say that the Olofin building was more dated. Just aesthetically, you walk into it and it just needed, you can see that it needed to work more readily.
So, my kids go to Olofin, I kind of felt like the current middle school looked in more disrepair as far as cosmetics.
More new additions put on it, so those spaces should be newer additions. Those spaces should be pretty updated, I would think. And we found out last meeting that there were about 10 classrooms that is just getting paint and carpet.
At Olofin? Yes, so Olofin, the classroom size is adequate right now for a lot of the spaces. And so the ones that are just the size of them, the configuration of them is good. Then all we're going to do is paint carpet in those spaces. There's no need to spend any additional dollars.
Your comment earlier about Felton, wouldn't that also hold true for Olofin, that our maintenance staff could call in a carpet layer and a painter to do that for those 10 classrooms instead of paying up charges for construction and
architect?
Absolutely, and we have already started doing that. So this past summer, Rusty and the maintenance crew went in and they did start replacing some of the ceilings outside of the bond scope. And they did start, Rusty added a few walls and a couple of extra doors outside the bond scope just so that Renee and her team would have a more functional school this year. And so they started doing some of those smaller projects, but that building will be holistically encompassed by construction projects throughout the next few years at different times. And so
What is charged for renovation, for architect or design costs for a renovation space? Is there so much per square foot? $400, $200?
we would typically charge, we set our fees based off of a typical percentage of overall construction costs. We don't necessarily break it down into those groups, and that percentage might change for different.
So what Rusty's doing is not part of the bond, it's all pulled out of capital outlay? Is that what you're saying?
That's my understanding, is that we're not using bond funds for the work that Rusty's done so far.
So what is the cost per square foot for what we're putting on?
Olofin. We do have a slide on that.
Okay.
You guys can last time.
Yeah. Are there any more questions about this?
Yes, on the newer addition at Felton, we're cutting into concrete. Now, I understand, is that still heat pumps heating that?
I don't recall. I'll have to give it up.
Because if you're cutting through that, wouldn't that?
Wait, Alan, can you ask that again? Sorry. I missed
No, it is, there's heat pumps out there
Heat
because
pumps in the new FEMA addition, I thought that was heated separately from the.
the wells are straight east of the building, because I remember when they were drilling them. And they're
There
vertical.
are heat pumps in there, so I just wondered if that's going right through it, and that's going to be free.
I will definitely make a note of that and talk to our engineers about it. One thing I do want to point out is that both of these next two projects are only partially through the schematic design phase. And so a lot of that type of level of detail is stuff that will come out as we finish schematic design, move into design development, get into construction documents. So a lot of that level of detail and exploration just hasn't yet been done. We do have a contingency in the budget set to allow for some flexibility so that as we move into that, we can make decisions based
How
on
much is the
something like that.
contingency?
About 5%.
5%?
We hold that in as we get it further defined out.
What about play equipment? Are we taking the play equipment from Wilson and moving it over? Where is it going to be at? Like, because we can't put it on the field because the community still uses that field, right? Where are they gonna?
No, we won't put it on the field. The consideration is, and you'll notice that the lower grades, primary grades, are down on the east end of the building. So to really, ideally, what we're thinking is to kind of have a primary playground there's a fairly large grass area right on that corner.
Yep.
On the east end of the building. So that would be a primary playground, and then we would have upper grades playground because the upper grades are right out, and it would actually take part of the parking lot. We'll utilize the asphalt that's already there in place. We'll have to get new asphalt or concrete, whatever we choose to do, and that would be there in front of the track.
And then I noticed that the art room is going to be located where the wood shop was, next to the tech lab.
That's
So-
actually changed recently. We're going to leave the art room where it was.
Okay, so that would,
originally.
okay, so is the tech lab going to expand into that whole thing? I'm just concerned about like the wood shop items, like are you gonna have to spend money to, I don't know.
The Woods program is going to take most of the equipment with them as they relocate to the existing high school building. So a lot of that equipment will be gone. And in the existing wood shop, the district hasn't determined exactly what that space will be used for yet. We have theoretically said it might just be a nice space for the maintenance folks to be able to use. It has
Okay.
direct exterior access from the parking lot.
Oh, you're
So
talking about
it's a useful
storage.
space, but yeah, it can be storage. It's a useful space for the district, but it hasn't been determined yet.
Is that still built down?
It's a drop down, yeah.
So,
We
yes.
have access from the actual drive.
And there's no, is there a door exit out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a double. I think it's a double.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a double door.
It's a double.
Yeah, there's a double door down there.
Yep.
My next question is right in front of the tech lab and in front of the art room. Those are two, are those just extra classrooms for possible growth?
I believe right now, I'd have to ask Principal Albers, but I believe right now those are used just kind of teacher planning rooms right now.
Okay.
Maybe a teacher break room.
And how many students, Ron, would we be expecting between Wilson and Lincoln at Felton? Do you have any idea?
Well, right now, if Wilson entirely moved, it's about 400 students, close to 400, but we would be able to, Wilson right now is just 3 sections, we would have 4 sections, so we can expand that.
Finally, if you go over by the gym, those bathrooms that are on the northeast corner right by the gym, you know what I'm talking about? Those are the ones that are most used by the community because of all the games and everything. And is there any possibility that maybe we could update those? Like I don't remember them being in the best shape. I should
Saturday, they were not in the best shape.
maybe that.
But we got capital outlay money, if that's where we want to put it.
No,
I know those are.
That gets pushed back. Oh, sorry.
yeah, they need addressed.
Yeah, but that's what the bond was meant to do, was to bring all the buildings up to, good enough to where we weren't going to be putting money from the capital outlay. So I don't think that's a great answer as far as we can just spend more money.
Well, then my question to you is, what would capital outlay be used for?
Well, I don't think we need as much capital outlay to be maintaining what we've already fixed within the bond. So, 143 million got up to 160. Was it 162? I don't think that we have wisely spent money, and I was kind of a little disheartened as far as talking to Mr. Albers, like if you guys had actually sat down and talked to like what the current middle school needs at the current high school, it seems like the only changes are making some classrooms bigger, which I agree that's probably what needs to be done, but there wasn't really a discussion from my understanding with the people moving into the new buildings, like what exactly needs to be done, like a walkthrough, look at stuff. I don't feel like you guys have made the plans for the next step. It's like, let's spend this money here and whatever we have left, we have left. Kind of going back to being good stewards of the resources, every student every day, like we're leaving a whole bunch of students to go into classrooms, bathrooms that are not, where they should be.
See, and I misunderstood the bond because I thought the bond was strictly to add space,
No,
not to repair.
I've got the ballot. It says renovations and,
And renovations to a
We are
Olofin.
renovating. That's the thing
Olofin,
is, we have a plan to renovate the building. We're not going to be able to do everything that we want to do. Do we want to do more? Absolutely. But we have as much money as we have, and we're going to use every dollar we can to get every space renovated as much. But we also have a plan in front of you that focuses on how we can continue to renovate these spaces and that are not being touched.
Well, I feel like we could get a lot more for the money that we spent. I think we've overspent in areas that probably did not need to be. I've talked to people from construction, Nabholz, as well as teachers. It was mentioned that the AV system that was put into the high school are going to go into it is nicer than what's in casinos. Like, we might have overspent on some things that we could have pulled back a little bit and spent the money to kind of help all the students in the district, not just build a fancy new high school. We'll help out Roosevelt. Olofin's going to be better, but we're still leaving a lot of students that are going to subpar classrooms because we are not fiscally conservative and we're not taking care of what we need to take care of.
Well, I'm not on board with spending all of our capital outlay money on stuff like that either. I think that's where you have to look at the budget and what we're going to budget for the future. That's where you put those funds aside. That's what I think.
I totally get you, and I agree with you. I just, back in February, March, I made the comment, hey, we're going to run out of money. And it looks like we're kind of getting to the end that we're not going to be able to do all the stuff that should be done for the students. And when I asked if we were on budget, it was always yes, yes, yes. But to come find out, we didn't really have walkthroughs of the buildings that need some remodeling to actually have a budget to be on. I guess that we were, on par for the GMP for what has already been passed, but there's a whole lot that needs to be done that we're running out of money for.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Derek. I mean, even when you build your own house, you add this, this goes up in price. I mean, and that's just a simple home. These are major buildings that are old. I mean, when I voted for the bond, I did not ever talk or think about the bathrooms at Felton. I didn't. I was voting for the space for growth for our community and for the kids. So, yeah, when you repair something, yeah, it's going to need replaced and repaired. I agree with you 100%, but I'm not excited about spending total capital outlay money for projects to where we have nothing when we actually have a maintenance repair that needs to be done. So that's my opinion.
Well, but I think that what I'd like to see is what can we cut from Olofin to have our maintenance people do to move on to something. I mean, I think that there's probably some things that we could do better fiscally. I just don't know what those things are. It's just kind of hard to get, factual, specific information. At least I've found it difficult.
Okay.
So I do understand why Olofin is costing more. I really do. I understand why Olofin costs more than Felton, primarily because adding that space is very expensive. Foundation, and I get it. I do. I'm not upset by that whatsoever. Honestly, I think what we have for Olofin,
Okay.
do I want it to be better? Yes, but we are very limited on the location and what we have to expand into, and I get that. I would like to know, how much does it cost to just redo, I don't think the plumbing needs to be redone in those bathrooms. How much does it cost to make it nicer? In my experience, kids treat things nicer when they look nicer. And I know that that's not ideal, but they're kids. So if they go into a bathroom that is run down and it's this pink from the, what year was this made? Does anybody know?
Olofin?
No, Felton.
Oh, Felton, 60s.
60s. So this pink from the 60s, and it is kind of grody. I'm not saying that it's not clean. They do a great job. How much would it cost just to spruce it up, not necessarily make huge changes? Do you know what I'm asking? Does it make sense?
Yeah, so that's kind of where we get at the levels of renovation. So the light renovation, medium renovation, heavy renovation, so those have different general cost per square foot numbers applied to them. That changes for each district depending on what you're actually trying to get out of those. Daniel, do you have the numbers that we talked about?
And I would say, if it's painting of the bathroom,
It's probably painting and new stalls, maybe some new toilets and new sinks,
floor.
new floor, yeah, literally a new bathroom, but nothing major to where we have to
We work on those projects every summer. I mean, we do
Right.
bathrooms every summer in the building, and we do a lot of Hayes High.
But this was built in 1960, and I don't think it's been done. I mean, a remodeled
Well, yeah,
bathroom.
because we haven't chosen to do that, but that could be a priority too.
It is a great working order. I'm not saying that. I think that it's been, very reliable. I just, I guess what I'm trying to get to is we have all of this. This is what's definitely going to be done. It's what needs to be done in order to have a functional, good elementary school. Do we have a list two where it's if we come in under budget with that, can we take this money to get these other things done? Does that make sense?
That's we have priority two.
Yeah, that's what I
Bathrooms
was.
would be, well,
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions about the Felton Elementary School? Because we're going to Olofin next, right?
We're
Sir?
going to the existing Hayes High.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
So changing it.
Okay, anybody have any more questions about this one?
No.
Let's move on. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, so this is the existing high school's plan. Similar diagram, same descriptions on the left. This one actually does not have any heavy renovation. We don't plan to do any changes to the plumbing at this building at this time. So the areas in green are light renovation. The areas in yellow are the the reason for that is the primary need of this school, like Felton, is going to be reconfiguring spaces to right size them. And so that's we met with Tom Albers today, had a couple hours, walked through every room of the whole building basically, and just kind of helped him figure out what spaces are going to be used for which programs, and explain how what we're going to do is that at both of these buildings, the existing buildings are bigger than what you'd build for a brand new school. So Felton is 100,000 square feet. A typical brand new elementary school is much smaller than that. This existing Hayes High is 180,000 square feet. A brand new middle school these days is probably about 140, 150,000 square feet. So space is not an issue as you move these students around. And Olofin space was an issue. That's why we had to add on to it. But in these buildings, these communities are going to be moving into spaces that are much bigger than what they're used to, have more amenities, more classrooms. So in this building, for instance, they'll have 2 gyms. The middle school currently only has 1 gym. So they're going to have 2 gyms, with the competition gym being one of them. The wood shop's going to be much, much larger. They'll have a wrestling program area. The cafeteria is much larger. They have a very large auditorium, very large multi-purpose room. There's a lot of spaces that they don't have in their current building, which would be great for them. What this building is deficient in is typical classroom size. So the typical classroom size at this high school is about 624 square feet. If you were building a brand new building, you would want to make those more closer to 800 to 900 square feet on average. So they're quite small. So what the goal of this project is, the primary function is to take an area, if you have 3 classrooms next to each other, it's to relocate some walls so that it's 2 classrooms that are adequately sized, plus a flexible space that can be used by either teacher as a breakout area. That's kind of a repeated process throughout the building. So each of these little bars that have the green and yellow space has that same approach taken to it. And so we're just shifting walls around, trying to do as light of a touch as we can to be as efficient with your dollars as we can be. But any space that does get a wall that gets shifted around will then get a full cosmetic upgrade. So we'll take out the existing walls as necessary, build the new ones, patch in the ceilings so that the new ceilings match the walls in their current location, new paint, new flooring, and we're kind of serving that primary need that Tom has indicated.
So, for example, that one up, I call it the foreign language area. We're going from 3 to 2.
Right.
That's what that shows, okay.
So the 2...
So it matches the Brooks and Gillian's rooms, if they're still there. Are they still in the same spot? Okay.
Yeah, so for instance, those rooms, I just walked those rooms today, and I think right now there are 3 rooms that are about 624 square feet each. And what you'll be left with is, I think the 2 larger rooms are going to be, I'll say it's about 830 square feet, and the center room is about 330 square feet.
What's the number on this one? Money?
Total cost, 6.9 million.
So there was some working on that with HVAC, that was HVAC. Make sure the HVAC matched.
So the architectural modifications are limited to the areas in green and yellow. The HVAC projects that have already been completed as part of this bond were far more extensive and touched a lot more of the building. I don't have a diagram.
So you talked about the 3.6 million that's already in the,
Yes.
okay, so it'd be the 6.9 minus the 3.6, so basically 3.3 million for moving some walls and painting.
Yep.
So 3.3 is to clean up the high school for the middle school?
Yes.
Okay.
So what's the rationale of taking a large classroom and making it smaller? Is there other rooms that you could combine?
We're taking small
No,
classrooms.
No, you're
Those
taking
yellow-
2 and making 3.
No. We're taking 3 and making 2.
Those yellow lines are the walls they're removing.
And the ones they're putting in.
Yeah. so
Well, with the solid line in it.
Well, okay. So there's going to be 4 equal size classrooms there instead of...
Correct.
At that
Am I allowed to speak? Am I allowed to step away? I can kind of point this.
Yeah, that would be good.
When it's got a solid line, that's the new one.
It's right here, there are 2 classrooms. There's an existing wall that goes right there. So we'll take out that wall, build a new one here, and so then it's 1 large classroom replacement. Up here, there's 3 existing classrooms, so we're going to take out those walls, give a flex space in the middle, and then have 2 large classrooms. Right here, there are 4 existing classrooms, so we're going to turn it into 3 with the flex. Up there, there's 3 existing classrooms, and then just turn it into 2 large classrooms. Right here, there's 3, we're going to turn those into 2 and 2. And that's kind of how it works.
I guess, no offense, but if we're just moving some walls and paint, like why can't our people do that? It's, I understand there's, steel studs, moving walls isn't difficult.
Yeah, at this one, there is more to it than just the walls. So like the existing HVAC work that was done this past summer, it was done in a way that will closely align with what it needs to be, but as we move these walls, there will be some like ductwork that needs to be extended or a diffuser that needs to be replaced or added, maybe a little bit of lighting that needs to be either relocated or added. So there's a little bit more complexity to it, and then also just the amount of square footage. This is 14,500 square feet, so it would be a very large project for your district to maintain on their own. So it goes beyond like what I was mentioning at Olofin was 4 classrooms and a couple of walls. It wasn't. This is a much bigger project.
I do have a question. At the very end of the green, you'll see, because the very end of the green on the right is classroom 8. Right next to it, you have classroom 7, but classroom 7 is actually 2 small offices, and I really don't know. Are you taking those walls out? It's not highlighted at all, but it's like labeled as one big classroom.
I'm not following where you're pointing.
I think just to the right.
Yeah, so follow the green all the way to the right. It's the end of the math hallway. Keep going. Now, right next to that, nope, other way. There's like 2 small offices, and then there's like a little space behind it. On here, it's labeled as one big classroom. Are you like going to?
That's a conference room now.
Yeah, that's I think I know what you're talking about.
That's the math
Yeah, like
faculty
it
lounge.
looks like it's one big classroom. I just didn't know if you were taking those walls down too.
That's a drawing error.
Okay, all right.
That's a drawing error that's been rectified. So right now, we're in a conference room.
Okay.
This will be, we were talking today with Principal Hours, and we're saying that will probably be like a de-escalation space, like we're bringing these
Right.
other rooms. And then this is currently part of this
Special ed.
Okay, I didn't know. That makes sense. Thanks.
This is over to you.
So-
The rest of the building? Is there any other renovation of the rest of the building that's not listed there? You've got just up to...
Well, down the hallway, there's, it's not on this plan, but the building continues down this way. So a significant portion of the building is actually going to be used by the high school moving forward. So the high school Woods program and a couple other programs are also going to be there. We're going to build a partition wall that will not allow students from high school, middle school to interact across that hallway. But other than that, we talked a lot with Principal Albers about how he plans to use this space and how we come up with some ideas and things. But as far as this actual bond scope of work, we don't plan to touch those.
So that renovation for that wall or that entrance is
That's
part of bond?
That's part of the high school project.
Yeah.
Was part of the high school budget?
Yeah, that's already accounted for in the high school project.
We're trying to get that done.
So where is the new, you said the wood shop is going to be significantly bigger
Yes.
than the middle school. So which room is it going to be?
The wood shop will be in the current metals lab.
Metals lab?
Yeah, so the metals lab at the existing high school is much bigger than the existing wood shop at Hayes Middle, and that's where it'll relocate.
Is the metals lab in the high school bigger than what it currently has? Or is it smaller?
I'm not sure. I don't know how big the new one is.
Yeah, it's just better spread. The way it's organized is better.
That's not, square foot wise, is it smaller?
And then Ron, question for you. So, like Derek was saying, if our own maintenance people did that, are our maintenance people even qualified to do a project
Well,
that would?
They do projects, small projects, but I mean, when you're talking that great, no way.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, if
HVAC
we
and
hired
stuff. Okay.
6 more people, maybe we could.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And because, I mean, are they even licensed to do something like that?
Some of them, yes, we have electrical.
And your plumber.
They do that, but very small. We'll utilize them on some of the projects that we talked about, potentially looking at one of the locker rooms, making that a bathroom down on that end of the building. Because it's so far, because what's happened with the wall going up, now the bathroom is now on the high school side. And so we've looked at the middle school not needing 5 locker rooms. They really only need about 4. So we can take that locker room, and the plumbing's already there. So that's not the issue.
That's a good idea.
It can be done by our people.
Okay.
I have a question then. So the time frame that this is, when we go in there to when we're finished, is that a 6 months? That's 1 year?
Yeah.
We're going to do it pretty fast, aren't we?
Very fast.
we'll start it as soon as we can get high school done, move over, start on this.
But I mean, is that our focus, is 6 months?
6 months. I mean, well, a few more than 6 months. I would say you got June and July.
Yeah.
June and July, so 8 months.
So this is really going to be done,
July
they can move in January?
June to December.
So we're starting it, so they can move in the middle of the year?
That's
That's the goal, right?
that's the plan, correct.
Okay.
I guess, before the bond was passed, there's kind of what each building lacked as far as, structure, function, that sort of stuff. Did you guys put that together? Were you part of that as far as kind of rating on the website as far as out of 50 points, was that you guys that kind of helped put that together?
Our team put it together. That was actually before my time on the project, so I wasn't personally involved.
Well, I guess, looking at the current Hayes High School, I mean, there seems to be several deficiencies in the facility, most notably like plumbing was 1 out of 5, mechanicals 2 out of 5, what caused the score to be so low? Like, what is going to be done to rectify that if it was found to be such a need prior to bond passing?
My understanding from just my own personal experience on the project is that HVAC and classroom sizes were the two things that I kept hearing over and over again as the biggest priority needs. So, and we did already address the HVAC with the previous work, and we're going to address the classroom sizes with this. So, plumbing-wise, I'm not sure if any of the previous work included plumbing. We are not talking about doing plumbing right now at $100,000.
But the HVAC would be the mechanical, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And plumbing would be separate pipes. So that's still, for whatever reason, it got a low score. We haven't done anything to rectify
I would
that.
say there's plumbing inside the HVAC. So that, yeah, I mean, it's water. It's a water system.
So was that part of it? I mean, or for sure?
Part of the HVAC system.
Okay.
I don't know how this works.
Before they fix it, I mean, you'd walk every 20 ceiling tiles. Sometimes we had to put trash cans to catch the water. So,
It was always leaking. I mean,
Always.
The building was always leaking.
so we have nice dry tiles with no stains on them?
They're all done, they're all brand new now. That's,
No dripping?
yeah,
Rats.
it's well done.
I mean, for what it's worth, I know I haven't worked there for 3 years. I think this is really good. We've all been in agreement that His High is a very good school. It really is pretty sturdy. The HVAC was abysmal. Like, I'm glad that we got that taken care of. I think really, in terms of like renovation, I feel like this is good because the classroom sizes were really small. This is a great way to make space. The building was originally made to be able to do that easily with the metal studs. I think this is a really good plan. I also like the plan in the future to add another bathroom. It's really needed down there. It really is. So I think that's fantastic. The only thing I don't love is sharing the wood shop with the new high school, but I get it. Like, we got to do what we got to do.
I mean, we just couldn't duplicate that size of building at the square foot cost, and it was right there.
My question,
And they're not sharing it, right? Like, they're not.
They're not sharing it.
They're going over to the building.
Yeah.
it's, right, my question is.
They're
if
leaving
we're
their
taking,
building to come over to the other building.
The wood shop and the metal shop, and we're kind of like the partition wall, right?
Yeah.
Is it like, that's essentially like cutting what the high school currently has in half. Is that enough for the high school and the middle school? Do you know what I mean?
No, not fully.
So like the
So
middle,
is the, I guess the question is the high school woods room going to be any bigger than it is now?
I'm not the project architect.
It's going to stay the same? It's going to be what it is, isn't it?
My understanding is the high school woods will remain as is.
Yeah.
The
And that
wall
will stay with the high-
separates-
like, with
wall
the
that
high school?
separates the high school woods and the metals currently will remain in place.
Okay.
It's just the metals will be repurposed to be the new wood shop for the middle.
'Cause that-
So they
'cause
will
it-
have separate wood shops that just are adjacent to each
Because
other.
that divider wall is a mason brick wall.
I believe
Fire
it's
wall's already there.
No, I know it's there because it's,
Don't
They're
have
not
doors.
sharing.
right, I know where it's at.
Where
Yeah.
would the high school-
Utilizing the classrooms at the end for CNA maybe?
Yeah, correct. So we have some CNA opportunities, and for wood shop, there is a classroom that we have right now that can be used for additional storage. So I guess technically, the answer to your question is, the wood shop is the same size because it's the same wood shop, but they will have access to one more classroom they don't currently have. And then they updated the AutoCAD room as it was this summer. I mean, there's new tables in there.
And that was the old video room.
No.
What's in the,
No, it's the actual.
It was Chris Nichols' room.
so what's in the old video then?
That'll be up to the middle school.
No, that's at the far end.
No, that'll be the middle school. The video production will be in the middle school side.
Correct. So are the
I'm talking about the old, when it was at the end, right across from next to the ag room, or caddy corner. Where drafting was, that used to be the old video.
At the very end of the hallway.
At the very end, to the right.
Adjacent.
So that would be,
That's what we're calling, maybe considering CNA classes.
that'd be high school's part of that building, okay.
I have two questions.
Wait, hold on. My question wasn't done. I'm so sorry. Where's the metal shop going? So the wood shop is going to be the high school's.
Metal shop is in the new high school.
Thank you. Okay,
It's in that corner of this, in the
Right
west.
across the,
South.
right across the alleyway.
Okay, I was missing that. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So first question is, someone asked something about cost per square foot according to heavy, medium, or light averages, ballpark, but then that never got said out loud. Can I have that, please? Didn't you say you had it?
It's kind of
Okay.
hard.
Because you have something like that we had, that was in our packet with, about Olofin, like when you,
Yeah, I think we got a slide coming for that for both the new expansion and then the renovation piece.
right, that's on Olofin, but you don't have like that kind of ballpark
This
here
one,
with
no.
these two light renos, light to mediums.
Megan, I thought it
Okay.
said, last meeting, I thought it said $100 per square foot for light renovation is what I had written down.
Yeah.
I believe that's what,
Some of it is, we talk about light renovation, it might be just me.
Well, and that's what it says on the thing, is about 127, so. But there's no corresponding medium, so I just kind of was curious about that. And then the other question I have is,
And just really to answer that really quick is it probably depends a lot on the scope. As you get further into medium or heavy, it can range quite a bit based on how much is superior.
I'm sure, that's true. Okay. I just thought somebody said that they had it, and so I was going to circle back. Okay. The other question I have is just to confirm, because you've given us the estimate of Felton at being around, I think Felton 3.8. And then the estimate of the new middle school at 6.9 minus the HVAC that we already have on our bond tracking. Okay. And then, so that means, we're looking at an additional
3.3.
7.1 altogether for the two remaining schools
Correct.
that we haven't seen designs for. The design cost is already in our bond tracking form. That's already budgeted. And then what we have up here is this very handy little, thank you, Chris, for that, because I was going to ask you for the spreadsheet so we could plug these in. There's an unallocated number of 7.977 million. So 7.1 for these two undesigned schools, or preliminarily designed schools in construction. Design cost is already there, right? That's one of the things we were worried about, is that this is not enough.
The paid to date, so the paid to date.
That's the paid to date, but the budget line is what I'm looking at the budget.
When we switch to the,
This sheet.
you're looking at the most recent.
Oh, okay, so the paid to date doesn't, so in over here, the design, I'm kind of like I'm mixing things up. Okay, thank you. So the design, that's what we've already paid for the architecting, designing.
We won't have the solid, because the design is based on the GMP. So it's based on,
It's a percentage
The
of.
GMP is based on the design.
We have to do some of the design work. That's why we paid for some of the design already to get to the GMP. But the final budget for design is a percentage of the GMP once that's set.
I see, good, okay. So it will then come out, right. Okay, so, great. That was my next question.
And so what?
Do we have this? Because that's too small for my eyes.
Yeah, I believe it was in the docs.
Yeah,
I think it's in your back.
I haven't seen that.
I don't remember seeing it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, wait.
Where
This
you-
is the,
I haven't found that.
wait.
So last time we were here, we kind of had the unallocated, and so we went and broke it back down to Felton and Hayes Middle School. That is the difference from what you saw maybe from last time to here, breaking it out into those two buckets based on the scope that Mike is putting together. So that's what we're tracking currently based on the bids from last year.
Has this bond timeline changed?
Okay.
So on.
I don't have that.
Right
And I
now,
don't know exactly what you're looking at, but I think our bond timeline.
it's the bond time, project timeline. It says March 25th to 24. So I pulled it off.
Good.
So like on the middle school, it says from June to September, is going to be the teacher community workshops. When were those taking place and who was invited?
So we haven't done that yet for the middle school because we put these last two projects on hold as we're wrapping up Roosevelt. We're actually tracking really well with the overall schedule yet. So we've done some of the preliminary design work with smaller groups of people. At Roosevelt, we met with teacher representatives from each grade level, each special program. We still plan on having some similar meetings like that with more stakeholders.
So you did that with Olofin too?
We did that with, at Olofin we met with Renee and some of her leadership team and a few of the special individual teachers, but it was.
So how many people were involved in that?
That's our question, so it's not 14 or so. That feels right, yeah.
And then it says community workshops. Do you have any community input on that?
So community workshops was a bit more earlier on. We have met with some of the.
With the high school?
With the high school, yeah.
So with these other projects, it says, that's what it's titled, teacher and community workshops, but it's just teacher and administration.
Each project we approach a little bit differently based off of the scope involved. So for Roosevelt, we were redoing the entire school, doing a very significant addition. And so it was necessary to meet with more people to make sure that we're getting everybody's opinions and making sure we're changing just about every program in the building. Home specials, the art room was moving, we're building a new gym, we're doing a lot of things. For Roosevelt, for Olofin, the project is very significant in its scope, but there were fewer things moving, like we're leaving the gym alone and stuff. And so we did meet with the PE teacher at some point, I believe. So it just kind of catering the meetings to the actual scope of the work. So for these last two projects, for instance, we're really only touching the kindergarten and first grade suite at the elementary school, and then right-sizing the classrooms for middle school. So it will be appropriate to meet with more people than we have so far, but meeting with the project leadership team, the principals, and some of their higher decision makers is kind of more appropriate for the level of project we're working on.
Do you think
As we walk
it would
around-
be more helpful if the board was more involved in those, so you wouldn't be doing this now?
I'd say the process we followed is fairly typical in my experience, but it can be done differently in different districts. I will also say that whenever we're on site at these projects, formal meetings may have not occurred with a lot of people, but informal passing definitely does. So as we were walking around the existing high school today, we were popping our head into a lot of classrooms. We were asking people opinions as we went. So it is a community-based approach, even if they're not necessarily formal.
So you're walking with Mr. Albers at high school,
Yeah.
but the other stakeholders aren't there, correct? That's just the high school people you'd be running into.
So meeting with the people who are currently using the space, asking them about the current functionality of the space and things. Yeah.
Can we get a copy of that?
Can we
Yeah.
have that, please?
We do not have that.
We had it from last meeting, but it's different, so.
Yeah.
Please.
Alan, are you saying you want to be part of the planning committee? Like, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that if we had some of these discussions earlier, it would have been a little bit more focused and narrow, and maybe we can answer, because that's what we're,
Yeah. I don't know, I feel like the majority of the planning and the needs should come from the people using the space, and I'm not going to use the space. My kids will use the space, and I understand that the community will use the space for some things. I think for me to be a part of that meeting would almost be, I don't know, unprofessional, almost like micromanaging. I think it's our job to say, okay, this is what you want to do. Do we have the budget for that? And I agree, like at the beginning, it should have been, do we have the budget for all of these things? Let's allocate accordingly. But I don't think us going to the meeting, I'm not saying you shouldn't, I don't think us going to the meeting would necessarily be beneficial or helpful. I think maybe as an observer and listening to what the teachers and community would like and would need is okay. But I don't know, I guess I'm a little confused. Are you saying, am I
This
misinterpreting?
mentions teacher community workshops.
Right.
And from what I hear, not many community people were involved in this, just administrative building level teams and some teachers. But I agree, there need to be more input from teachers and the stakeholders. It makes a lot of sense. And I don't know if it needs to be at that meeting, but maybe there needs another meeting, so we're brought on along with it, not at this point where we're trying to decide, do we have the money? It's kind of behind the focus a little bit. It's already designed. It's hard to change after it's already designed.
Right.
Are we ready for the next one?
Yep.
Or, did you have a question?
I guess kind of my thought process, going forward for it was like you came and presented the Olofin several months ago. I can't remember exactly when it was, and that didn't seem like a formal. This is, we're going to present this to you, a couple months for approving the money for it. I mean, I think it would be good if it kind of went through and like have a little bit of a conversation as far as, we could do this or this, depending on, what we think is important in addition to, the teachers and everything else, but kind of come in and saying, this is what we want to do, this is where we think we're going to go, we got this much money, but, just kind of a presentation, this is the scope, and then approve it, last meeting, which I'm glad we tabled it and got some more information, but I don't feel like we were part of the process at all. I mean, to what extent we need to be part of it, I think more than what we were, but that's my input.
And I get that. I would just feel absolutely monstrous if I went in and I was listening to what these teachers need and just saying, no, you don't need that, because I don't deal with those children every day. Now, I am super grateful for all the information we got today. We got a lot more, and that was really helpful. Like, I know that was not an easy feat. It probably took a lot of time to get all this stuff together, so I'm really grateful. I don't want the teachers to feel like we're this overlording board that is going to shut down anything that they want or need. I just think we need to be really careful about how that comes over. I don't think it was intended to be that way.
I think we're trying to be good stewards of our money and make sure we have money to finish our projects. Okay, are we ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, last board meeting, I was asked to break these out by square footage and certain areas, the renovation costs versus site improvements, area A. So, broke them out. The square footage cost is, again, the scopes are different on each one.
What's area A and what's area B?
So area A is the new kitchen and kitchen, our room, cafe, and then the area B is the FEMA structure classroom side.
So south and north?
Additional classrooms. Is that 2 classrooms? 3 classrooms. 3?
The area A is on the southwest corner of the building, and area B is on the northeast corner. The building's kind of rotating 45 degrees to the world.
Every time you add on to, it costs more, you add on to another part of the building.
Yeah, you're adding footings and structure and everything.
Then if you had one add-on, it's a lot cheaper than 2 add-ons, correct?
Yes.
Because you're not adding on to this building, you have to have it tested, you have to see if all the beams are accurate, you have to look at codes. And
You know,
have to have
really
it
when you're
tested.
adding on, it depends on what you're affecting on the outside.
So on
Cutting
that
into the walls.
south wall, we're adding on a significant amount, and that's $4 million compared to 2 classroom spaces, which is, and how many, what's the square foot of that? A and B is, what's the difference? You know, see the cost, we'll put 6,000 to 12,000, total 10,000 square feet. Around that.
And it depends on what's going in it. Alan, there's, when you add a kitchen, there's a lot more mechanical, electrical, plumbing versus if you're doing
But you're putting it in the same spot as the existing kitchen, right?
It's nearby, so the existing kitchen is coming out, and the new kitchen's going to be in the new addition here. And that was actually a cost savings measure because putting all plumbing and all that infrastructure into the new kitchen in a new, fresh piece of ground is a lot cheaper than trying to do it in an existing building. So
That makes sense, but you could put it in the existing spot. Along with like we're doing other places.
One of the biggest constraint, I would say, for Olofin as we were designing and working with Renee and her team was to, with the site. The site is incredibly tight. There was very, very little room for that building to grow and for the building really needed to grow. So having 2 separate additions to your point.
What do you mean to grow?
To grow square footage.
Grow square footage, not grow as far as additional students, because we're keeping it the same. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean growing square footage. The existing building, the 43,000 square feet is quite small. That extra 10,000 square feet was really needed to give up the spaces that a lot of schools have. And there was no single piece of the site that could fit a 10,000 square foot addition. It had to be split up into 2 smaller pieces because that's what the site is dictated.
So we're keeping the existing secure entrance, or are we taking it out? We just put it in.
The existing main entry will still be used, but it'll be used by a limited population of the building. It'll still be used by staff, and it'll still be used by bus riders. But the car drop-off line, the new main entry of the building will be done in addition.
On the south end.
On the side of that.
So this building's going to have 2 secure entrances.
Yes.
We're keeping it the same, basically.
There's some minor reconfiguration of the walls and that, but it will still be used this year.
So we're not losing what we already invested there. The secure entrance is staying the same, right?
Last slide I got, this is the same one you saw before, giving the breakdown of where we were at from the design development to the GMP, which again, we did come in slightly over. So this slide should be familiar with it.
When we talk about using local contractors, what is the definition of local? Is it in town, in county, in a
I would say
radius?
within the county,
Okay.
we're trying to focus, but most
Right.
of all in Hayes.
Right, okay.
So we've had wonderful success with using it. So I wish I had some around towards the city too. So we keep the partnership going. That's all we have.
Okay, I do have one more question, and it has to do with the site plan drawing, and I don't think you guys have that up there. And I drove there today at 2:54 and saw the line of traffic that was, but then I tried to sneak into 12th Street to try to figure out where this new road was going to go. So it looks to me like it's going back around that Turmeric apartment complex. Okay, do we own that property, all that, where that road's going?
Yes.
Okay. Good. And it's going to wrap around Turmeric and dump out on 12th Street? Okay.
We don't have it on this.
Okay.
So I asked a question about the price of do you have that number for us, the asphalt?
So we broke out the site improvements. That was that. Was the asphalt and the earthwork associated with that, and the curb and gutter.
But in the maximum price, it has a vague number in there. It just says the July
Price index.
price index, but not an exact actual price.
I don't have
I mean, you can
the
look
exact
at-
asphalt number. I don't have that.
Okay.
So
Is there, why, I mean, you can look on the.
That's a
their
changing
website.
number. They explained it to us
Yeah, I
last
think
time.
Alan, they've estimated 2.2 million for the drive or something like that. So they've estimated, but they can't say, per se, that if asphalt price goes up, it's going to go
Right,
up.
asphalt will go up or it could go down, depending on the
Depending on where we
prices.
put it in, correct.
But when we do the maximum price, you need to have that, ought to have that item. It says the July number, but it's not listed in there. So you could look it up on the KDOT thing and find, using their formula and find out exactly what it was on there, but you didn't do that, or?
If we locked it in for what the July price is, and if it changes, we would talk to you about that and get it in front of you. Again, Roosevelt, we didn't change, and right now, high school hasn't changed. So it's
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Appreciate your time.
Guys, thank you.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the guaranteed maximum price for Olofin Elementary additions and renovations.
I second.
Okay, Mr. Brooks, will you add the money in so we have that right? Or would you like me to repeat it and you just see if that works? Or okay, I'm going to repeat it. Motion to approve guaranteed maximum price for Olofin Elementary additions and renovations for $14,493,478 from Nabholz Construction as part of the bond project. That's your motion, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is what I second.
Okay. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
I am concerned about paying architectural fees and construction fees for white renovation, paying $100 a square foot, when our maintenance staff could do that. They've done it in the district for years, and why we're adding that to this price tag, and we don't have it broken down. I mean, maybe it is, but it's, from my understanding, it's $100 a square foot to do carpet and paint.
Okay. Anybody else? Seeing no other discussion, we shall proceed to vote. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, say no.
No.
Renee, can you tell me what we got, please?
Alan, how do you vote?
It didn't pop up on my computer. I vote no.
Okay, so 5 yes, 2 no.
Motion passes 5-2. Next item is approval of the Hayes Middle School / JV field bathroom and concession stand. 6.2.
Yeah, this is just a project we've been talking about for a while, and a project that's probably long overdue. As we look to moving our middle school out there, we'll also become the middle school field. It's currently being utilized right now by our high school as a practice field, but also as also for a soccer field and JV field for football and soccer. So just trying to get some bathrooms out there at the field. Right now, it's currently, we don't have bathrooms unless we add porta potties out there, or like currently, we ask people to walk into the high school, which is quite a bit of a haul. So we have some bids that were completed. There were 5 contractors who did the project, and Votes Construction at the lowest bid for $685,000. In addition, we have some design fees, construction, administration, and bidding fees from HDK Architects for $68,700 for a total of $753,700. And we were estimating the project would be somewhere around $800,000. So as you can see, it's coming slightly lower than what we were estimating. So that's always still good. So I think it's something that's long overdue. I think everyone who has been out there to that field will appreciate that, and having some concessions available to us as well.
And who will run the concessions? Will we split it
Well,
up
it'll be our
with different
middle school
organizations?
groups, or anyone who utilizes the field will have the ability.
Different organizations, so, and just so the public knows too, Ron, so currently, even with the high school having our own concession stand, We currently split those costs with Fort Hays State University, correct? When we have high school, when we have.
No.
No, we don't get
No.
Oh, we get any of
Now, we
that.
pay
There-
the
There's no splitting at Lewis Field.
So there's funding for organizations in our district that will go straight to the
Which
kids.
the high school will also have that opportunity as well, because we'll have concessions that they'll
Wonderful.
turn.
Okay.
Is this also a storm shelter or not?
No, it's not a school.
And anybody who's been out there, yeah, it's not fun to go into
Well,
high school.
I would say, I mean, the field's been there for 45 years probably, and it's kind of unique that I doubt there are very many football fields in the state of Kansas that don't have restroom facilities. So it's time we have some restroom facilities at our field.
So I guess my concerns with the cost, again, I know broken record. I guess why did we feel that we had to, go this route with block? It's a building that's going to be used just a few times a year for games. Instead of doing just like an engineered steel building for quite a bit less, it's not, paying the $70,000 for architect necessarily, not paying the exuberant amount of money for it. I guess the other thought I had was, we are building this very nice high school with a very nice field that has a concession stand right next to it. Why can't the middle schoolers play there and use the concessions?
So it'll be utilized for high school practice as well as games. So that field will be utilized almost every night.
I thought that we were building a practice field kind of between the two.
Be utilized for practice. So either soccer or football will be on one of the two fields. So they'll always be utilized.
But, I mean, the high school could go practice on this field and middle school could play. I mean, just
How many teams do we have? We have
Hey, well,
girls soccer,
excuse
boys
excuse me. Let Mr. Yarmer finish, please. Are you done?
No,
Are you, okay.
I looked at
Continue
all
on.
the dates, and there's only one date that actually coincided with like a middle school and a high school. The 19th of this year was the only one that I could find where the field with the games between high school and middle school would have had, a date where it would have been double booked, I guess.
Yeah. We currently have, middle school currently has their own field. And I think it's, once again, it's that sharing of fields doesn't always work the best. It's one of the reasons why we want our own football field for our high school, because sharing with Fort Hays, although it's a great place and a great facility, it's not always the best circumstances for the teams.
And we drag, how many vehicles and stuff gets drugged down there? But, Megan?
Yeah, how many teams do we have that, we have more than just soccer and football who use these fields.
Yeah, soccer, of course.
We have boys and girls soccer.
Yeah. Our middle school band most likely will probably.
Yeah, how about middle school band and the high school band both need practice fields as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus it provides, here's the beauty of the whole plan, is our middle school will be practicing there. And now we'll have bathrooms for the athletes who are practicing. They will not have to run to the trees or back into the school.
I still think it's a viable option, but I guess going on to the second one, why do we feel that we need to have this expensive of a building instead of doing
Well, first of all, I don't think it's that expensive. And the second thing is, I take a lot of pride in how our facilities look, and I think our community does as well. And so I don't think this is extraordinary in any way. It's brick. Nothing extravagant, doesn't have a lot of architectural features on it, just brick. And I think that brick provides a little more, a stronger barrier than metal.
But it's not a storm shelter by any means.
No.
Okay.
No.
There's already two steel buildings around the current field. Yeah, I'm guessing they have storage of equipment and whatnot. So
Yeah, they're just storage equipment.
I understand, but I don't think it would take away cosmetically, to put another steel building up that's functional. And I guess kind of to your point, we're not fixing the interior of the current middle school to be more cosmetically pleasing for the students and for
We will attack that.
$800,000 would go a long way. I'm not saying 800,000 or 753.7. If you took a portion of that, you put a reasonable building here that's functional, $500,000 would be a good start to doing some of the stuff for the other schools.
I think it's a very reasonable building.
And I've got to tell you, brick facade versus just having steel, the difference isn't going to be that great. You brought up the architect. We have to have architect drawings for us to build a building, even if it was a steel building. And so some of these costs you're talking about are not going to be different had it been a different building.
Steel buildings come with an engineered stamp for each building, so.
Well, you're talking a prefab steel building, not brand new. Okay, so again, that's going to be cheaper quality, and you're also not going to have the sustainability you will with this.
It's a building that gets used a handful of times a year, that has no academic value to the students. I mean, is it something I think we should look into? I think so. I would love to have bathrooms and stuff out there. I think this is exuberant, especially with the discussions we had earlier as far as run out of bond money, trying to get all the stuff in the capital outlay, and then in addition, spending $750,000 on a place to take a leak. I mean, this seems like a bad use of funds.
I think it's great use of funds because I think bathrooms have been needed there for 50 years.
$250,000 seems like it would be more reasonable if we could.
I don't know what a steel building would cost. Sometimes they're way more expensive than you imagine.
No, I looked them up. I built one.
Yeah, all steel buildings do.
Okay. Any other discussion?
The location is on that I call it northwest part of the field.
Yes.
Why is it put there and not closer to
Because it's
the?
closest to the home side. It's right by our home
Can we
side.
do it on the other side so that we could also maybe use it for the softball field, or what's the plan?
We have a softball bathroom at the softball field.
There's going to be a softball and a concession stand, so we have a concession stand at the baseball field, the softball field, and now this and bathrooms at all three places?
Yeah. We have bathrooms at the baseball field too.
Right.
How many bathrooms are going to be in this? I know it's like
Six
total.
units, each men's and 6 women's.
And the softball field's in between the baseball and the...
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I'm concerned a little bit because we're spending more money again, and I think it'd be great that we have it. But when I hear that we don't have enough money to put in a classroom at the high school, we have to use an existing one, and they're the only ones. And I was talking about the shop, wood shop. We don't have a plan for that, and so we're spending money to do these things that we haven't had before, which are nice, but we now have a nice performance arts. I don't know how much that costs broken out, but we've eliminated some classrooms that is used every single day by students, and this won't be used very much. I mean, it will be used a lot on certain many hours, but not every single day by a lot of students, and that concerns me. I don't know. This is out of capital outlay, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been in capital outlay sitting there, that 800,000 plan for a while.
That estimate,
I did receive a phone call from the athletic director of the high school, and we kind of talked about the need for this bathroom and concession stand. Now, I grew up playing on this field. All of my games were on this field, and it was kind of difficult in the middle of a game if you gotta go, because sometimes that happens, to run across the parking lot. But that's always been viewed as kids. You know what I mean? Like, kids are fine. Kids will run in. But he brought up a really good point. They had some big activity there recently. What was it?
It was the
Maroon and gold kickoff.
scrimmage.
Yeah, okay. And there were porta potties there, and there were a few ladies who were in their 70s, and they needed to use the restroom, and they did not feel comfortable in the porta potties, and so they were going to walk across the parking lot with student drivers everywhere, which is, in my opinion, not the safest. And it's, he didn't go right by that, so he drove them to the bathrooms, across the parking lot to the school, to the bathrooms. And first of all, like, good for him, because that's like the age of my grandmother. I would not want her to use a porta potty. I don't want to use a porta potty. So I do think these are really needed. The concessions are always a great moneymaker, not just for our sports. This is really important. It's also like the funding, the clubs that run it, like the foreign language department would run the concession stand for the basketball games, and that's how they funded their international travel to learn about communities. Like, running our own concession stands, I think, is the biggest thing we can do to help our kids, because I do think that's a great moneymaker. I do think this is needed. I am concerned about the price. What's the difference between, I don't know if you know, the difference between like just a full cinder block or like putting this brick facade or, you know, a different material? I don't know if it's any cheaper.
It's not going to be much cheaper. You just have the structure. And once again, you're paying for the bathrooms.
Right.
You're not paying for as much for the concessions area or the storage. You're paying for the bathrooms.
That's right,
It's
we
really
gotta
not
run
gonna
that
be
plumbing
much
out there, I forgot.
Well, the bathrooms is right at 100,000, so that still leaves 6.5 roughly. $600,000 for the structure itself, and concrete. And as far as I know, this doesn't even include like the dirt work to get the sewer up to the building. I mean, this is just put the building there, rough it out, you know, stub out the plumbing. It's not all the
This will
trenching.
be connected to the sewer system.
Well, okay. So that's the entire bid, like turnkey project, everything's done. I agree, I think that it's something that we should do. I just don't think that this is the right building, the right price for us to do it. When we have other needs.
Is there a motion on the table already?
Anybody else? Okay.
You go to a lot of schools, they have complexes and they have a central bathroom and concession, and they use it multiple times. And so having three all on a few hundred feet apart doesn't make sense. Why we could put that other end on the other end and take care of two different facilities.
I think the terrain is a big thing here. Have you ever walked on the terrain on the south side of that field? It's treacherous is a good word. In high school, they wanted us to practice on that area for soccer, and it lasted about 1 week before there's no way.
So the home side has to walk all the way around to this bathroom.
No, the visitors.
The visitors would have to, yeah.
It's on the north side or is it on the south side?
It's on the west side.
It's catty corner from where the
It's
track
opposite the
storage.
parking lot. It's not next to
Yeah.
the parking lot. It's opposite the parking lot, in between the track and the trees.
So it's on the opposite side of the parking lot towards the outdoor classroom, that corner.
Yeah. No.
Yes, according to the map.
Next to the bleachers.
Yeah.
So it's the southeast side of the field.
West.
Southwest,
Southwest.
yes.
Is this something we need to rush into, or is there time to still look and say, hey, maybe there's a better option out there? 'Cause I don't think it's a pressing issue for right now.
Well, yeah, it's kind of because we can utilize it for the spring. It's kind of pressing.
What's the timeline? Sorry.
For the spring?
Yeah,
No,
like
for the building.
For the building.
Southwest
If
because
you want
north
to
is
utilize it for
southwest.
soccer this spring, yes, it is pressing.
So it'll be done, as tonight, it'll be definitely done by spring.
Yes.
That's the east side, not the west.
Yeah, it's still southeast side.
Okay,
Mr. President, I'd like to make the motion to approve Voight's construction of a bathroom concessions building at the Hayes Middle School field, JV for $685,000 and HTK Architects for $68,700 for design, bidding, and construction. Administration of the project for a total of $753,700.
thank you, Mr. Brooks.
I would like to second this.
It is moved and seconded. I think we've had plenty of discussion, so we shall vote.
And that is a Newton contractor
I think, isn't that what I?
from Newton. And we had local people bid.
Yeah, there were two big,
Yes, there's 5 bids there.
one was on the.
Okay, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say yes.
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 All those opposed say no.
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 Alan, you said no?
Yes, correct.
The vote was 4 yes, 3 no.
It passes 4-3. Next on, oh, come on, little puppy. Is approval of funding for the 13th Street improvements.
Okay, what you have in front of you is what is being considered for the district's portion of improvements on 13th Street as the new high school is added out there and the relocation of Hayes Middle. Been working with the city. As you have in your board packet, this was bid out in the spring. Came in high, so the city kind of looked at the scope of the project and did some work and shortened the length of the 13th Street as far as what they were going to widen, and as well as removing the drainage structure. So that reduced the portion. So through the bids, and then once again, there was only one bidder, APAC out of Hayes, and our portion will be $763,449.85. This will come from the capital outlay. This will help with just the safety of students and also as well as the flow of parents coming into the middle school and the high school. And will include some right turn lanes, pedestrian safety crossings, and some upgraded signals.
Okay.
I guess turn signals, what's the upgrade there?
I think it's adding, it's another, they have to upgrade the signals. I can't answer that specifically, but it's needed because of the 3 lanes. So the engineers, it's a requirement.
Okay.
So is there, I don't even, probably a turn arrow on for a while, and then,
They have to add another light to the existing poles. We'll utilize the poles that are in place, just changing the
probably, yeah,
poles or whatever.
probably a turn would be, yeah. Okay,
Mr. President?
yes, sir.
I move that we approve the funding for the 13th Street.
Can you, Mr. Park, will you read the motion? Do you have that? Can you read that for me?
Motion to approve the funding for the improvements at 13th Street for $763,449.85 for the new the high school and the relocation of Hayes Middle School. Is that the one you want?
Yes, yep. Keep going, please.
City of Hayes to approve East 13th Street corridor from Canterbury to Commerce Parkway.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
It has properly been moved and seconded to make a motion to approve the funding for the 13th Street improvement. Any more discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed say no.
Nope.
Pass 6-1.
It,
Sorry, 6 yes, 1 no.
yes. Passes 6-1. Thank you. 6-4. Future of Lincoln Elementary.
Yeah, this is, last meeting, if you remember, we talked about, the board addressed the resolution to officially close Lincoln. Now, this is just a conversation about possible action if you are wanting to dispose of it. And what I've included in the packet is take consideration 3 ways that the board they can give the building away. You can market it with a realtor, or you can take sealed bids for the purchase of the building. That would be the recommendation, to take sealed bids. We have talked about this several times. Appraisal is always an option. You can get an appraisal. However, once again, I would recommend that you probably not spend the dollars for an appraisal, because basically appraisals are based on comparative sales locally and within a reasonable times. Really, the only school building that is sold in this area would be Washington, and we received the amount for that. And anything else, replacement costs of building is really going to be out. We're not going to get that amount of money to replace Lincoln, which I would guess estimated probably take 20 to 25 million to build buildings similar to what we have for Lincoln. And also just appraisal comes from income generated by the building, and there's schools don't really generate it. So I did talk to Bill. Bill's had a lot of work with this in history with the district, so I think it would be important to use Bill's experiences to talk with him about the best way to proceed.
The district in the past has sold a number of properties, some of them vacant properties. Washington School, of course, is a great school. As you all know, you have the statutory authority to dispose of property however you feel is in the best interest of the school district. So as Ron said, you can give it away, you could do an auction, you could list it with a realtor. What we've done in the past, what the county has done is solicit sealed bids with the right to reject any and all bids. And that would be my recommendation as a place to start and see what you get.
And Mr. Jeter, what happens if we would get no bids? Where would we go from there?
Well, we're back to square one. You'd have to
Then
decide.
we come with Plan B.
Yeah,
Been any interest? Has
Plan B,
anybody-
which we don't have Plan B right
Well,
now.
not till we need Plan
You
B.
could list it with a realtor, you could.
Has anybody shown any interest or
I've
reached
had
out?
conversations with people asking about when it might be available. Not had anything serious. They said we might get back to you. And I think that's where it's important the board to take action, so then people officially know that we're looking to get rid of it.
So the
Yeah.
playground equipment on there, Ron, is that decent
It'll be
equipment
utilized
that can be moved?
at Felton, potentially Roosevelt, wherever we can. We'll look at the equipment we have and where we can utilize it.
Another factor, as you all know, we have a change in the statute where you have to offer it back to the state and give them 45 days notice. And that has to be during a regular legislative session. So the earliest that we could give them notice, or we'd give them notice today, but the tolling of the 45 days wouldn't start until they start the next regular session, which is in January. So our timing would have to be either before then or sometime shortly after that. If we've got an acceptable offer, then we'd have to make a contingency in the contract that we've got offered to the state first. And then we do that through the legislature, and they've got 45 days to respond.
I know that the provision of their acceptance or refusal is still there, but didn't they hand that off to another, wasn't that the change that occurred, or did they not pass that?
Well, they didn't have it before.
They did pass that, so they handed off to a committee.
The legislative coordinating council, they can take action on it, but I don't think the actual 45 day.
Oh, okay, I
They could act on it
see.
sooner, but they don't have to. I don't think.
Okay.
So to clarify, so if we ask for bids, we get bids, we open them, we say, we got a bid, then then contact Topeka, then it's 40 days before you finalize, is that correct?
What I would suggest, if we do seal bids and the board is willing to accept the highest bid, that we enter into contract negotiations on that bid, and as a contingency under the contract, we can get out of it due to this 45-day notice we have to give the legislature.
So Mr. Jeter, the 45 days starts.
So in other words, we can't do that until the earliest would be whenever they first start in January. So that puts it off to mid-February or later. So when we're talking about closing the sale and providing possession, that would be the earliest date possible. What we don't want to have happen is get it past the end of the regular session, and then we're putting it off for another year.
Right. So it's 45 minutes after we have a...
45 days, yeah.
45 days, I'm sorry, yes. Okay.
Another option that's not on here is that we look at keeping it and seeing what we could use it for to help the community, to help our own situation. We have 2 programs that we're paying leases for, around $6,000 or $7,000 a month. Is that right, Chris? For the Hadley building?
I have to go look. Some of that is paid by Fort Hayes, some of it is paid by the special ed co-op. I go look and see what the district portion is, but I don't have that top of my head.
So there's things that communities, such as daycare for adult and children. There's other communities who have looked into this, and they have done it. And I think that for us, we ought to look into that and get a task force to see if that's something that we can do to help. What is the county appraisal for that building?
But we haven't done an appraisal.
No, the county appraisal has one on
By
it.
the county.
For taxes.
Right at $3 million.
So it is increased in value. We don't know what it would take to fix it. We know that in case of Washington, there was a group of investors that saw the value of that building and invested quite a bit of money to make it into an investment property that they're going to project out at least 15 years. There's historical money that they received. They sold off the back part of the real estate behind. All those options we have to look at of the real estate, they sold it off and pretty much paid for at least half of their original costs.
Well, let's think about that for a minute, because if we keep it, we can't sell off the rest of the land because, like, we're going to use it for kids, and kids need that space.
I'm just looking at options. That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
I think the investors were able to invest a lot more money in it because they were going to get a return on their investment. We're a public education system. We can't do that. Like, we can't get a return on the investment from our students. I don't think we have the financial means to be able to fix it. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, did we not look into what it would cost to fix all of the plumbing and whatnot? And it was like astronomical.
No, we have not. I've not seen any estimates on that. Groups will come in on renovation of older, and they'll do it for free. You just have to invite them in to say.
You remember what, you just had an architect who was here that said the cost for renovating older spaces is double, triple as opposed to building in new spaces. So,
Then why did we do that for Olofin and Felton instead of just build a new building and Roosevelt? I mean, we spent $29 million.
Because they're not as old. This is a 100-year-old building.
Correct.
Okay. Do you have a motion? Are you going to make a motion?
Well, I have one more question for Mr. Jeter, if you don't mind, Curtis. So when we do the sealed bids, if we did that, Bill, how far out does the sealed bids go? Is it Ellis County? Is it? I mean, how do we post that?
You post it anywhere.
Okay.
I mean,
It'll be covered, yeah. It's national.
So it's national?
Sure.
That's how we do it? Okay, because I've never been through this process, because Washington School was
I mean, we've done
by
that before.
someone in Kansas City, correct?
I'm not the one that does that.
Okay.
No, they're local.
Oh, they were local that purchased Washington? Okay.
I thought they were from Overland.
They were from Overland Park.
The developer was from Overland Park, but the investors are local.
There's all kinds of those groups, and even the nonprofits that renovate and then rent out for full services of populations that need those. Even those will buy the building in the first place. So, but you're saying a lot of things that, the community does need. That we do need more housing, and we do need more places for our kids to be that aren't the schools, and that's absolutely true, but it's outside the scope of our mission. I mean, that's what it really comes down to, is that this space, whatever is to be done next with it, is likely outside the scope of our mission.
Okay.
And that's enough for me.
Mr. President?
Sad though, maybe.
Okay.
I move that we table this until we get some more information.
What more information do we need?
I think we're rushing, and I we're not looking at other options besides getting.
Okay, he has made a motion to table. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we table the the future of the Lincoln Elementary at this time. Are you ready, Renee?
Is there,
Discussion?
if this is, I'm curious.
I think we've
This is a
had-
question. Well, mostly I'm asking, my next question is, I guess, never mind, you're right.
So,
We've had a lot of discussion. My next question has to do with the next motion.
So if it doesn't get tabled, then
Then I
somebody
have
we can make the motion to. Are we ready, Renee? Okay. All those in.
President, I'd just like to say, what if we table it for 1 or 2 meetings? What's the hurt in that? I mean, it seems like we're rushing this.
Okay. Okay, I shall call for the vote. All those in favor of tabling the future of Lincoln Elementary to a future meeting, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed to tabling the future of the Lincoln Elementary School, say no.
No.
No. I never got it. No, you got no pop-up.
So 2 yes, 5 no.
Okay. To table the motion of the future of Lincoln Elementary is failed, 5-2. I'll entertain other motions.
My question is about the motion, because the advice here is to make a motion to dispose of the property. So should the motion include the means by which we dispose of the property, or do you think that you would come back with that request, or is that? Okay.
Yeah.
So then, my next question is for Mr. Jeter. Should I say sealed bid with no obligation to accept?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Jeter, don't we have to
Whoa.
have a hearing?
Hey, Alan,
Sorry.
let Megan finish, please.
No, you've already had a public hearing.
To close a building, but not to sell a building.
You don't have to have a public hearing to sell a building. You've already done that when you close the building.
Okay, thank you. Did you get
Yes,
yours?
I
You're
would
good?
like to move that we dispose of Lincoln Elementary property through the process of accepting sealed bids without obligation.
With the right to reject any
With the
and all
right to
bids.
reject any and all offers. Would you like me to repeat that?
No,
I'll get it right this
I'm good. Is that appropriate?
Yes.
That's appropriate. All right, any seconds? We have a motion and a second that sounds good to Mr. Jeter. All those in favor? No, any more discussion? Any more discussion?
When we sold Washington, we had to close the building, and then we
You've already
repurposed
had a
it.
public hearing, Alan.
And we
I don't
reversed
need
it.
to answer that another time. You don't need another public hearing.
Okay.
Okay. We're good? All right, I shall call for the vote. All those in favor of accepting bids, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, say no.
No.
And Mr. President, if I could, just follow up to Alan, that doesn't mean you can't solicit comments from the public. Once the bids are open and you're inclined, maybe a consensus to
Yeah,
select the
it didn't pop
highest
up. Are
bid,
we not popping up?
you can still have solicit public comment from the public. You're not statutorily required to have a public hearing.
So if we, in the case of Washington, it was appraised at $1.2 million, and we just put on a $900,000, just 20 years earlier, we put up an addition.
Okay.
And
That's a discussion to be had in the future. Okay,
It was 5 yes, 2 no.
and we have record of who's a yes and who's a no?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion passes to put the Lincoln Elementary School up to bid. It passes 5-2. Okay. Next is we will go into executive session. Let's see if I can get my first one right. The motion to go into executive session pursuant to Kansas Open Meetings Act for the purpose of executive session for personal matters for non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy interests of identified individual. And the open meeting will resume at the boardroom. Okay, a couple things. 7 board members and Mr. Wilson, correct? Going down to the training room. We're 20 minutes. And I would like to add my 5-minute restroom break, please. So we will return to the boardroom at 8:55.
20 minutes. 20 minutes looks like, yeah, that looks right.
There will be no action when we
We
return.
have to
You need a
vote.
second?
You need a second, and we need to vote, right?
Okay. I need a second.
Wait a minute, wouldn't 20 and 5 be 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's.
Thank you, math teacher. 9 o'clock.
That is what I was having trouble.
See, I knew I couldn't get the first one right.
You had.
We shall return at 9 o'clock. Okay.
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded to recess for 5 minutes, meet at 20 till, and return back here at 9 o'clock. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Passes 7-0. That was easy.